This right here is the brand new G-Shock GBD-H2000, a watch that you'll probably never have to charge, a watch that has GPS and heart rate and connectivity to your phone, and the durability and aesthetic of a G-Shock watch. Now, there's a watch that I reviewed on this channel about 3 years ago that I have still never charged, and that's the GBD-H1000 from G-Shock. I ranked it the most durable, awarded it best battery life, and in the watch comparisons, it always performed pretty well. Now, 3 years later, here we are. We finally have a sequel, the G-Shock GBD-H2000. Like I said, it's a GPS watch. It has Bluetooth, has solar charging. That's why the battery should last forever. Has 6 sensors, including heart rate and blood oxygen, among others I'll talk about. And it receives notifications through a Bluetooth connection with your phone. So there's plenty to talk about here. There are some pros, some cons. We'll dig into all of that, as well as an accuracy test, because one of the big improvements that G-Shock is claiming here is the addition of algorithms from Polar, a company that's really well known for their wearable accuracy. Starting off with the physical design, G-Shock reduced the dimensions here compared to the GBD-H1000. You can see on the front, it's narrower all the way around. It's a thinner watch. It's also substantially lighter, because if we flip over to the back, we now have, I believe, a plastic back compared to a stainless steel back before, which I think this is a big improvement. Normally, when you see different materials moving away from stainless steel, you think that's a downgrade, but it actually really, in my opinion, is an upgrade here, because one of the biggest complaints I had with the GBD-H1000 was that it was such a bulky and heavy watch that a lot of people out there really couldn't wear this watch because it would either look too big on their wrist, or it would rattle around a lot or hurt their wrist just from being so large and so heavy. As you can imagine, if you're going for a run, you don't want a giant bulky watch on your wrist. So this being substantially lighter, I think is a huge improvement. Despite the reduction in the size and the change of materials, it still has essentially the same durability from what I've been seeing. Your water resistant up to 20 bar, which is 200 meters. And of course, the big bulky bezel all the way around is really great for durability. You're not gonna have to worry about this getting smashed. I mean, I have not damaged my other one yet, and I did wear it on many different outdoor excursions. Now, this comes in 4 different colorways. I'll show you on the screen right now. And looking a bit closer at the watch, on the front we have our display, which is just black and white, but it does have an LED backlight, which the top right button will enable. But as far as replacing the straps on this watch, it's going to be a little bit tougher than most other watches. You can't just kind of pinch and take it off. So instead, you have a hex head that you can unscrew it. And so it's not really designed to do that, especially not on the fly, but I don't think you really need to. I think that they did a much better job here than before with the strap. First of all, it actually has a bit of a hinge, so it opens up all the way, unlike the GBD-H1000, which you could never really straighten out all the way. And one of the reasons I chose this color is because it really demonstrates pretty well that you have the green strap on the outside and then the kind of little pink triangle on the inside there that adds an extra buffer so that the hinge doesn't just like pinch against your skin at a 90-degree angle. Instead, it makes a nice round curve there, and it feels a lot more comfortable, and it stays in place much better on your wrist. Flipping over to the back, we have our heart rate and blood oxygen sensors, as well as a charger, which you will likely not need, at least not often. This also has a beeper and a vibration motor on the inside for notifications and for feedback within the system. So summarizing the physical design, it's thinner, it's lighter, it's still as durable, and it's more comfortable, and it stays put on my wrist much better because it's not bulky and it has a better design strap. So all of the physical design of this is substantially improved. Now, let's talk about the actual sensors. We have 6, as I said on here, an accelerometer, a heart rate sensor, a gyroscope, a barometer, a thermometer, and a magnetic sensor. We'll talk about what all of those do, but as I mentioned before, they partnered with Polar to improve their tracking with Polar's algorithms, and you do have 8 different exercises, as well as sleep tracking, as well as your life log is what they're calling it, like throughout the day, heart rate, stress, things like that. And so you can do a lot with this, but the 8 exercises, while that may seem limiting, I find that I generally get everything I need to out of those 8 exercises. So we've got the big ones like swimming, running, walking, biking, and then you have kind of like a general gym exercise, which kind of encompasses a lot of other things. While I definitely would like to see more exercises on here just for categorizing it in the app, at the same time, if you're doing yoga or if you're lifting, I don't really see that much of a difference that I care personally about tracking, right? Like I don't really track reps as much on watches. I just like to have time and heart rate for those indoor workouts, but the outdoor ones are where you really see some differentiation. For example, biking workouts show you the distance, speed, time, and the altitude and the gradient, as well as the heart rate and calories, among other things. So let's get into an actual accuracy test from my own experience here. So taking a look at the accuracy, there are 3 big drawbacks and 1 big positive. Starting off with the GPS accuracy, we'll get into the first major drawback being when you start a workout, it takes forever for this to acquire GPS signal. On my most recent run, it took 3 minutes and 45 seconds for this to lock in on GPS. But the good news here is that once you do lock in on GPS, it is actually very accurate. When you look around the map here, you can see it really followed the trail accurately. It did turns well. Overall, just a really solid job for GPS. So for that, I can give it a pass on taking a little bit longer to acquire a proper signal. But looking at the heart rate, unfortunately, we just have 2 negatives here. The first one is that it just did not do a good job of tracking this bike ride. Granted, bike rides are a little bit trickier for optical heart rate sensors, but still, if you have the workout on here and it's going to be that incredibly inaccurate, then what is the point? And the second big drawback is that it is very difficult to export your data to get it off of the watch. So I found that not only was the app very buggy, and it took me many attempts to synchronize with the watch to get that data off, but when it finally did sync up, then the data I couldn't even export it to something else to really compare 1-to-1. So instead I had to take a screenshot and send that screenshot over and map them up 1-to-1, which took a very long time, was very tedious, but ultimately it wasn't accurate. So GPS was good, but heart rate was a huge disappointment. So let's get into an interface tour now. There are 4 different watch faces you can choose from, as well as a 5th one, which is just called custom, which you can really do whatever you want with. There are 4 quadrants on the top to choose many different things. For example, the sunrise and sunset, how many steps you have today, your heart rate, different things like that. And then on the bottom half of that custom one, which I really like the custom watch face, they have the time, the date, and of course the battery level. The top right button will turn on an LED backlight if you're in a darker environment. The top left button will go up and the bottom left button will go down. So they kind of cycle through these different widgets as you have here, these different apps on here. So for example, if I just press the bottom left button from the watch face, it'll go down into the first one being time and date, heart rate, we've got blood oxygen detection, we can go down to breathing exercises, which they did, again, partner with Polar to do this, and you have, I believe, a 3-minute breathing exercise. If you feel stressed and you want to calm down, you could do that. They also have cardio status once you've done enough workouts. You have life log, which when you press the middle button, you can enter any one of these, and this will tell you how many steps you took today, how many calories you burned, your active time, and from here, if you press the top or bottom left button, you can cycle through some different views of this to show you different charts throughout the week, throughout the month, things like that. If we press the bottom right button, that is always going to be your back button. It'll bring you to the previous watch screen, and so we can keep cycling down through these. We have nightly recharge, we have activity log. By the way, nightly recharge is another thing on here. Sleep tracking is being tracked using Polar's algorithms, so it should be more accurate. Personally, after testing this, I was not able to get any sleep data because I didn't wear it tight enough on my wrist, and I find that it's kind of uncomfortable to sleep with really any watch, but especially one larger like this when I'm sleeping. I like sleep on my arm a lot, and it just doesn't, it's not comfortable. So going down, activity log, of course, is your different workouts, and you can dive into each one of them. We have the almanac, which is like the sunrise and the sunset. You have a compass app, that's what's using the magnetic sensor, by the way. Altimeter, that's what uses the barometer sensor. We actually also have barometer as well. And of course, we have world time, timer, stopwatch, and notifications. Now the notifications on here, if we just press the middle button, you'll see that we can go and open them and read a little bit more about them, but you don't have especially many options for interfacing with them or replying to notifications, for example. Other than that, going back to the watch face, we can press the left middle button and that'll go into the workouts, and you can see, once again, using the left top and bottom buttons, we can cycle through from interval workouts to open water swimming, trail running, walking, regular running, biking, gym workout, and of course pool swimming as well. Going back one more time, if we press the top left button, press and hold it, you'll get into your settings, and you can customize a lot with this watch within the settings, or you can go and connect it to your phone. You could find your phone, which is a nice little feature you have here. There are some other features on this watch. For example, Smart Alarm allows you to wake up within 25 minutes of your alarm time, based on whenever you're in your lightest sleep, whenever it's easiest for the watch to wake you up. So you wake up feeling a little bit less groggy, or at least that's the intent. There's also pressure trend alerts, so maybe that could alert you to changing weather conditions. That could be useful if you're hiking around a lot. In order to use this watch with your phone, you will need the Casio Watches app, as you can see right here. And honestly, this is probably my least favorite part of this watch. There's some things that it does really well, but there's also a lot that it doesn't do well. So starting off right off the bat, it has a lot of ads right on the first page, which I think is a little bit annoying considering this is already a very pricey watch. Going over to the next tab on the bottom, this is my watch, and when you open that, so if you tap on your watch, there is actually a lot you can do here, and I really do like this. You can go into, for example, running, you can change your heart rate zone alert, you can change the intervals during which the GPS signal is received, so that'll control accuracy as well as battery life. You can find the right balance there, and you can change different things about your workouts. I really like that aspect. If we go back, we can go over to my page, and this again is kind of weird that they did this. Like, it's buggy right here. So today's March 15th when I'm filming this video, and for whatever reason, it's showing me March 25th as the first thing for my life log, meaning like what my daily summary is. Going down, it says March 16th, so that's tomorrow. I don't know why it's showing me that. And then going down, we finally get to today, which is March 15th. But even looking at that, if we open it, it's not like the most robust interface. So for example, if we tap the drop down on steps, it shows like 3 different lines colors and it has some Japanese text on the top, or I assume that's Japanese. And so again, you kind of end up guessing what some of these really are doing. Going down, there's not a whole lot else you can see within your life log. They'll show you your cardio load status and your nightly recharge. And other than that, you can go down and see like your different workouts and dive into those. But as I mentioned before, kind of just generally lacking as far as the app goes. I really wish you could dig deeper into the analytics. Considering they partnered with Polar, I was really hoping to see more within the app. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of this watch. To really summarize it, the pros, it's more durable than other smartwatches. It has a longer lasting battery life thanks to the solar panel on the front. Basically, maybe it could be infinite depending on how much you use it. It has that G-Shock aesthetic, which is one of the biggest reasons people would buy this, but unlike other G-Shocks, this is smarter, meaning it can connect to your phone, it has heart rate and GPS tracking, and it really does a lot more, but it's not without its drawbacks. So for one, it has somewhat limited functionality. It's a pretty rudimentary watch. For example, you can't really interface with notifications that much, and there's not a whole lot you can do on this watch other than basically track you. The next drawback is that the app, in my opinion, is kind of garbage. Like, I really didn't like using it. Other than that, the sleep tracking probably works well, maybe, but for me, the watch just didn't quite sit comfortably while I was sleeping, but that was maybe just me. Most watches don't really stay on my wrist that well when I'm sleeping. I tend to take them off and whatever while I'm asleep. But the positives, like I said, this watch is substantially better than the GBD-H2000. It's lighter, it's smaller, but still has all the great things we liked about that watch. So in conclusion, this is a durable watch that has the iconic G-Shock aesthetic. It now has fitness tracking, sleep tracking, notification capabilities, Polar algorithms, and it's definitely not for everyone, but for G-Shock lovers, this could be the perfect device. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.